All right, hello everybody. Good to see you all here in the chat. I see a lot of folks already joining. Things are a little different. I'm not in my studio today because funny story is there's a lot of snow and I can't get there right now because Portland does not know how to handle snow. But let me put the map back up and let you all say where you are joining from. Yeah, snow. That is a thing that just shuts down this city. So it snowed on Friday, thankfully, right after I was doing a workshop in my studio and made it home. And then it started snowing, and I've been unable to leave since then. So all the roads completely shut down. It is a blanket of white outside. And unfortunately, I left my YOLO box at the studio because otherwise I definitely would have done this show today outside in the snow with the YOLO box. But I couldn't actually get there to go grab it. So maybe next time. But I do want to do a stream on the YOLO box now that they launched those updates with the ability to show chat on the screen. So that would have been super cool to try that out. Anyway, that'll be a adventure for next time. But anyway, I can stream from home, and thankfully the internet is back, so we're okay. So let me go ahead and pull up the chat so I can see what we've got here. This is yeah, still going to, of course, answer questions and talk about the ATEM Mini, talk about whatever Blackmagic might be announcing on Wednesday, and yeah, we'll just do things as usual anyway, even though I'm at home. While we're used to snow in Minneapolis, it's negative 13 outside. An excellent reason to tune in today. That is very cold. It's dropped down to only about 24 here Fahrenheit, so not super cold, but definitely colder than it normally is here. And we are not used to having below freezing weather at all here. Of course, any guesses on what Blackmagic is announcing in a few days? ATEM Mini and cameras. Yeah, they said it was an ATEM Mini and camera announcement. So I don't know what that means. It does sound like they're not going to be announcing the sort of thing I've been looking forward to, which is the refresh of that middle tier of products. Looks like we're not getting that because they specifically said ATEM Mini. So does that mean firmware updates? Does that mean a new ATEM Mini? I don't know. I have no idea. I was not expecting any new ATEM Minis after the first one, much less two more. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, of course, my dream ATEM Mini, that would be nice. That would be, it would make my day or my year, actually. Hopefully they can announce that. We'll see what happens. But if you are, so that live stream, they're going to announce that Wednesday morning my time in Pacific time. It'll be, I guess, Wednesday evening in Europe, and then for everybody in Asia and Australia, I don't know how Grant does these live streams at like 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it is over there, but that's where he's going to be streaming from. So it'll be Thursday morning. Right after that live stream, I'm going to do a live stream. Snow should be thawed out, so I should be able to get back to the studio. And I'm going to do a live stream, and I'm actually going to have Photo Joseph call into my studio, and we're going to do a joint live stream together about that. And we'll just chat about whatever they announced and talk about our thoughts on it. So that'll be whatever time their stream wraps up, we're going to go on air right after that. So they usually block an hour for the show and then usually end a little bit early. We'll see. Who knows? Again, could go in either way. So just tune into Blackmagic YouTube, and then right after that, jump over to my channel, and we will be chatting about that. Okay, what else? What else we got in the chat? Again, if you do have a question for me, then make sure you put my full name at Aaron Parecki or just the word question, and that'll pop it up on my screen, although that actually does not look like it's working today. So make sure you put in my name, because that one does work. That's YouTube. Oh yeah, I saw this at the beginning. The thumbnail, for some reason, wasn't showing up on before I went live. It was like the little gray YouTube icon. No idea why. No clue. But everything is fine other than I am not at my studio. Oh yeah, this was a great post by YOLObox on their Instagram. Really clever use of it. There was the YOLObox with two HDMI ins. Excuse me. And they had someone had rigged it up with two ATEM Minis, not Pros, just ATEM Minis feeding into one into each HDMI. So total of 8 inputs, and then of course you can only switch between 2 of them, and you don't get any previews or multi-views on it, but you still get 8 different sources to switch between in the YOLObox, which is a pretty cool way to augment that. I think actually, yeah, the ATEM Mini is a great one to pair with the YOLObox because it is just a very straightforward 4 input switcher, and then you get all the streaming from the YOLObox, which makes it portable and easier to do for, out on the go. Which I was looking forward to doing that in the snow today, but I guess that just wasn't in the cards. Okay, scrolling back down here. Where did the patch panel on the Super Console come from? Oh, you mean it's on my studio, the patch panel with all the little jacks on it? I don't know, Amazon. I just search for patch panel. I think it's 16 slots. I can probably find it. It wasn't anything fancy, really. But let me go grab that. Anyway, yeah, here it is. So yeah, this is, I've been using these actually for a long time. I started using this with the rig I did for the bike-sized streaming kit. That's one that I put on my bike, and then that is, that's where I rigged up everything to a 4U case, and I had a bunch of pass-throughs, SDI, HDMI on the back to be able to get access to those without having to reach around the back of the patch panel, if I spelled that right. There we go. So that link is in the chat, and yeah, you can get all the little breakouts for HDMI, audio, SDI, USB, USB-C now. You can get these little keystone jacks, and they usually are there's a bunch that are couplers, so it'll have whatever jack it is will be the same on both sides, and then you can run a short cable on the inside from whatever gear you got inside the case, and then it gives you that port on the outside. And it's a super great way to deal with not wanting to have to have cables hanging out of a box or whatever. So let me just grab where did I get the HDMI keystones from? Apparently I bought them a long time ago. Right there. Is this Amazon listing even still good? No, it's not. Here's one. They usually come in packs of several, but I'll just drop a link to keystone jacks as well. So these things are great. I just have a box full of them. HDMI keystone jacks. Okay, there you go. So that is the link for those and the patch panel here. And I will try to remember to put those into the description of the video after I am done. And I'm working on a way to automate that, actually. So anytime I drop a link into the chat, it will just be added automatically. Cool. Okay. What else we got? Have you worked with BMPC? I'm assuming that is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I actually have the 4K. I do not have the 6K. We'll see what they announce with cameras on Wednesday. Maybe it's an 8K. Maybe it's an update to one of those. Anyway, the 4K is not that new, but I have the 4K, and I actually, thanks to some help from one of the viewers of this live stream, last week I ended up spending some time creating a LUT and tuning the colors to match my Lumix camera. So the G7 that I use at the desk at the studio, I like the colors. I haven't done anything to that. That's just sort of the default setting. I like the way it looks, and I wanted the Pocket 4K camera to look the same. So then when I switch to the desk view, the color doesn't shift dramatically. So I actually finally got that tuned pretty well, and I did use it to shoot the video about the YOLObox. So if you look at my channel, the last video I did was the YOLObox video, and that is with that LUT. I had to make a tiny change to it. So But I was hoping to be able to use it today on the stream, and that would have been the first time I would have used it live. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So that will be for next week, or actually on Wednesday. I'll get a chance to use that probably. And yeah, I like it a lot. It's a good camera. It's good for just a stationary, A-cam in the studio. It's yeah, it's been great. And now that I'm actually getting a hang of like making these LUTs to color grade it, that makes it a lot more useful. Okay, here's a question. I have camera via SDI connected to the Blackmagic converter to HDMI. The cable is 0.5 meter and SDI cable is around 20 meters. When connected to the ATEM, the picture is only stable on port 1. 1080p 50. That's really, really strange. That shouldn't be a problem at all. That's a very short HDMI cable. That shouldn't, yeah, that should be fine. And the SDI cable length shouldn't matter. I am curious what you mean by stable, though. So there is something special about port 1 on the ATEM. That's the one that does the pass-through to the output. It gives you the option of doing that, where you can pass through input 1 without any delay to the HDMI out. It's for like if you're capturing a game console. So that chip in the ATEM Mini is different than the chips that are on the HDMI ports 2, 3, and 4. So sometimes you get these little weird things where some things work only on input 1. But I can't think of why this would be, because like I definitely use converters going. Everything is SDI in my studio now, so I've converted everything into HDMI, and it's all fine. Check what frame rate the ATEM is in. Like maybe it's, if your ATEM is not in 1080-50, then maybe it has something to do with the scaling it's doing. And check the frame rates of the cameras. It's supposed to be able to handle scaling anything, but that is the only thing that I could think of that might be causing an issue. Oh, I am speculating it's going to be a camera dedicated for ATEM Mini and a 4K version of the ATEM Mini. That's a thought. I am curious what would be a camera dedicated for the ATEM Mini, because I do feel like the Pocket 4K right now pretty much is. Like, it's HDMI out rather than SDI like their normal, like the bigger studio cameras. So I feel like that already is pretty much a perfect camera for the ATEM Mini. So I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are about what more they could do special for the ATEM Mini. One thought I had was because we've been talking about how the only thing that can stream to a streaming bridge right now is an ATEM Mini Pro. So what if they built an encoder for the streaming bridge, the other side, right? The thing that pushes to a streaming bridge as a separate device, or maybe that's going to be in a camera. That's an idea. So then a camera could push directly to an ATEM over the network. That would be cool. Who knows? I hope it's not a new ATEM Mini. I've only just bought an ISO. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, is that they keep just launching these things left and right. And as soon as you buy one, you're like, well, 3 months later, it's going to be a new one out. So what do you want to do? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't think they're going to launch a new product in the ATEM Mini line. I think it's going to be some sort of accessories for that world. It just seems like too much to, within a year, launch 4 products at the same tier. We'll see. Carl says, when I fire up Zoom on my laptop connected to my Mini Pro via Ethernet, Zoom doesn't offer anything other than the laptop's webcam as a video source. Oh yeah, the ATEM has to be connected via USB in order to have it show up as a webcam. The Ethernet doesn't show up. Ethernet's only for control, and so the ATEM can stream. And the USB is for the webcam connection, so make sure that's connected over USB. Oh, and this is Carl. This is the creator of the Mini Go case, the super cool kit that I did a video on a couple weeks ago. Go check that out. It's a Kickstarter live right now for like another 2 weeks, and it's a case for the ATEM Mini with a built-in screen. And the thing that I did not express heavily enough in that video that I did was the fact that that screen is included in the project. Like if you look at the Kickstarter, the price is, it's not a cheap case, right? But it's because it's got that screen in it, which is like almost half of the price of the kit. So definitely worth checking out. And that screen is really, really good. I was really impressed by that screen. I'm actually thinking about getting one just because having a 10-inch screen is a really good size for the ATEM Mini. And like I have a 7-inch one on this one that I'm using right now, and it's definitely a bit small. So that 10-inch is a great size, and it's not a cheap monitor, and you get that in the case as well. Speaking of monitors, what is the lowest cost solution to add a headphone output to the ATEM Mini? So there is a thing called an audio extractor, and let me see if I can find one. I don't know if I have actually bought one recently, but this is probably the cheapest because these are around like $20 to $30. The question is finding one with an 1/8 inch output because most of them are meant for like outputting to home audio systems. So it'll be RCA or like digital, like the optical. So I'm not even finding one that has an 1/8 inch. Oh, here's one. Yeah, but that one doesn't do the. Yeah, you might need to look around. I don't have any that I'm going to link because I don't trust my 2 seconds of research on that. But HDMI audio extractor would be one way to do it. You would need to obviously find one that has the HDMI in and out, and that will then pass the HDMI out through and then give you a headphone jack. That's probably the cheapest because it'll be like $20 or $30. However, my preferred method is to get a monitor that has a headphone jack because you're probably going to want a monitor for your ATEM Mini anyway, and that's going to plug in, and a lot of these monitors have headphone jacks. So that's how I end up doing it. And then it's however much you spend on the monitor. And that is, so I, like on this, I should just get my little eCamm on so you can see my desk here. I'll give you a little tour of what I'm doing here as well. Let this camera sync up. But yeah, I like the monitor solution just because it does make it, it's just less parts, less stuff to worry about. Okay, come on. There we go. Linking. Well, I'll just keep going in the chat. Yeah, we talked about predictions for the Blackmagic. An ATEM Mini with SDI instead of HDMI would be nice. It's true. It is true. Okay, here we go. So this is, this is what I'm working with today. So this is my extremely disorganized desk, and this is my little stand for the ATEM Mini. You can see the Hollyland transmitter or receiver is back there, clamped onto the case. I don't know if you can tell. It's not enough light back there, but that's bolted on to the back of that stand. And then this is that 7-inch Feelworld monitor that I have a couple of with a small rig mount attached to that that plate on the top of the stand. And here's one of those patch panels back there. So I've got a bunch of like converters and crap back there to make the Chromecast work and things like that. So this is my little rig today. Not terribly fancy, but this is what I have at my home studio. I moved my Stream Deck, my original Stream Deck here, and I took the bigger one to the studio. So I have a large one at the studio, and now I've got a small one here for using at home. Yeah. Oh, don't look behind the ATEM. There's a secret thing back there. That video will be coming out in a couple weeks, hopefully. All right. Let's see. Oh, the HDMI audio extractor. I previously said it was a Prozor 4K, 2K HDMI available on Amazon. Mine works great. Oh, cool. Okay. That's great. Let me see if I can find that. Copy that out. And is that still on Amazon? It is. And it has a 35mm output. Great. Okay. I'll drop this in the chat for you all. So, there we go. Okay. HDMI audio extractor with headphone out. Thank you, Rick. Okay. Where did Cool. Would the yellow box with the Feelworld switcher pair better? That's a thought. The Feelworld has definitely fewer features than the ATEM Mini, so like it doesn't have the same power, same ability to do like graphics and things like that. So if you are doing just camera switching, you don't need any of the features in the ATEM Mini, like the picture-in-picture and the downstream keys and all that. So yeah, that might be a better option. That said, I don't think it's that much cheaper, so maybe more versatile to keep the ATEM Mini. But yeah, that's an option for sure. Am I using just one camera today? Kind of. I did have that wireless camera on one of my Hollyland, the first one I got, which was the 300, and then this is my little ZV1 with the cage on it to be able to mount the Hollyland. That's all I've got, and then I've got my my third input is the computer or the Chromecast for the chat, and my fourth is this iPad, which was the countdown. As well as I can show you my my iPad screen, which is actually, this is another monitor on my computer right now. I'm doing the, what's it called, sidecar. So I have my studio camera pulled up, although I think it got stuck. Let's reload that. Oh, I got logged out. Oh well. Yeah, it's just a third monitor in case I wanted to show you my computer screen. If you have the SDI Keystone link handy, oh, what did I just do? Oh my gosh, I lost the chat. I tapped my touch bar on my computer. Great. Okay. Now I lost my place in the chat, and all the highlighting is gone. Sorry, where was I? There we go. Do you have the Keystone, SDI Keystone link handy? Let's find out. Ooh, I don't, maybe it's called BNC. Yeah, there it is. These are the ones I've been using. So these, I have a couple of these and have used these a bunch. I think there's one in this one. There's a couple in my other rack in the studio as well. SDI Keystone jacks. Cool. Okay. Do you know if ZV1 can have a, do you mean a LUT? No, you can't load in LUTs into the ZV1, but it does have picture profiles to be able to tweak the color from on the camera itself. So you can adjust actually quite a lot of the color on that. It has a couple of built-in ones, so you can do like S-Log if you want, or you can go in and actually tweak the individual colors. It's not the most friendly interface because it's all on the back of the camera, but it does work. Is there a command line interface for Companion? I have not seen one. However, there is the OSC interface for Companion. So you can send OSC commands to Companion, which means you can actually control it from quite a lot of stuff. So you could build a command line interface to it or use it with like MIDI controllers and things like that. Lots of different options there. I have the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and streaming bridge and trying to record using the USB out on the Mini and also connect to my PC to use OBS at the same time. Yeah, this is the problem with the ATEM Mini. This is the limit. You kind of push, you're at the limit once you're using it as a webcam and you're trying to use the USB to record. The thing that you're kind of stuck because you only have so many different ways to get video out. And you can stream from the Pro to the streaming bridge and then capture that on some other recorder, right? Like any HDMI recorder or another ATEM Mini Pro. But yeah, you're kind of at the limit there. The other way to do it is if you're using OBS, just tell OBS to record because that's probably easier if you're already in OBS, I would say. Are you using your LED panel today? No, I am using the Aperture 120D Mark II. It is right up there. It is, so this is, let me back up a little bit. This is what I'm looking at. I've got my console down here, the microphone here so you can hear me. I can see the chat up there. The camera is right up there. And then, yeah, the light is like on top of the camera, basically. That microphone is not being used because if I turned towards the computer, then you would not be able to hear me. But yeah, this is the Aperture 120D with a little soft grid thing on it, and it works very well. But that lives at home here. Could you do a video on making a LUT in DaVinci to color match with another camera? I could. I'm not good at it. I would recommend watching people who are good at it make a video instead. And I just saw some super chats come in, and I do not have a... I don't have my little lights set up here. But thank you for the super chat. Can I use an HDMI splitter on the ATEM Mini Pro output? I need to add a monitor to my camera too for my co-host. Probably is the answer. So the some of them don't work for whatever reason. Some of them do. So it might take a little bit to find one that does work, but yes, it should be possible. Up until I switched everything over to SDI in my studio, I was using a HDMI splitter to connect my main camera to both ATEMs. And I talked about that a couple of times on those older live streams when I was using the two ATEMs side by side, and I was using I was running the camera into both of them so that I could have my video in both ATEMs. That splitter worked fine with that camera. Other cameras it didn't work with, and it kind of is just a hit or miss as to whether they're going to work, because those things are very cheap and not very fancy devices, so it is kind of a gamble. And then same with the output. I've heard some people found splitters that don't work, and a lot of the splitters do work. So it's also one of those things where like those things are just a dime a dozen these days on Amazon. So it's not even necessarily the case that if I link to one, you're going to even get the same one when you buy it, because they often swap out what's actually being sold under those listings. So give a couple a try, but generally, yes, this should work. And Cloud Bedrock, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. I think my lights at my studio are probably going off based on these super chats, but I don't have the lights here hooked up to it. I'm super excited that you're working on a version of your Chrome extension for Zoom. Any update on that? I'm not working on it. Somebody else is. And I don't think I saw any updates recently since the last time I mentioned it. But that is definitely a cool idea. I think it was working, though. So if you check out the link, if you check out the project on GitHub, that's where you'll find like the discussion about it. And eventually I'll roll it in and publish it to Chrome and Firefox stores. Maybe a micro pocket cinema for the ATEM Mini. That'd be cool. Have you looked at the BirdDog NDI to HDMI converters? I have a long time ago, and it's been a while, and I did not have a good experience with the one I did try, but it was a long time ago, and they've released new products since then. So, yeah, I just don't have... I don't really have a need for NDI in what I'm doing in the studios here, so haven't really found a good use for it or desired to go into that world, because it does get very expensive very fast. When you stream to YouTube, what are your output format settings? 1080p, 3060, 24. So I usually do, oh gosh, I just realized I didn't actually double check today. Yeah, okay, this is 1080p 2997. So I set all my camera frame rates to 60 frames per second, the 180-degree shutter rule, and I stream at streaming high. So that is the it ends up being about 6 megabits a second for a 1080-30 signal, and thankfully that has my internet bandwidth has been totally fine for that. Oh yeah, last night when we were streaming on Anomaly's channel, our internet here was down since about, it was down from about 3:30 a.m. to like 6 p.m. yesterday because apparently the power went out at the other end of the fiber connection. So we just didn't have internet here yesterday, and I managed to stream anyway thanks to my favorite little devices, these little travel routers. So I plugged my phone into this, plugged the ATEM into this, and pushed the stream up to YouTube 6 megabits a second over my cell phone connection. Used about 4 gigs for the hour and a half, but totally worked great. Question, hooked up a Chromecast to the ATEM Mini Pro, but was unable to get any picture. Yeah, you do need an HDMI splitter. Apparently the newest Chromecast no longer has this problem, so it should work fine, but the older Chromecasts and the ones that I have do require a splitter to get rid of the HDCP, which is just a silly mistake I think they made in their product design. Have a look at the Lilliput BM124KS 4K monitor. It looks like it comes in a case. I just saw that this morning. Super cool. It's a monitor that is a case. Like the cabling and the wiring and everything, all the ports are built into the case. It doesn't look like there's a lot of room for anything else in the case, unfortunately, because it'd be cool to use that to also like shove an ATEM Mini in there and have it sort of always there, kind of like Carl's case, the Mini Go. But it does look like a nice monitor case. Do you have the M1 Mini displays routed through the Super Console? So if you had an SDI field monitor connected, you could push a signal to it. I do. Yeah, at the studio, I have the HDMI port on the Mac goes to a converter into SDI into the router, and then I have a separate HDMI like Thunderbolt dongle also going into the router. So I don't have any displays connected to the Mac itself. Both go into the router, and then my 2 monitors on the desk are also connected into the router. So I can decide if I want my computer monitor to be on my main one in front of me. But it also means that if I'm over at the table, I can just like take my wireless keyboard, go sit at the desk over there, and send my computer monitor to the monitor at the table. It's super cool. It's fantastic. So yeah, any of my monitors, any of my displays in that room can be a computer monitor just by clicking a few buttons. It's super cool. I love it. At some point, I'm gonna do like a proper studio tour rundown of that because it's a lot of fun. Oh, this is a good question. Is it possible to change the images on the Hollyland when it loses signal? The default is the Hollyland logo. It'd be nice to change it to black or something. I don't think I saw that option, but now I'm actually not sure. I know that my 300, the older 300 model, does not have any options. It doesn't even show the Hollyland logo. It just shows like a connecting ... The new 400 Pro and the 300S, those have like nicer splash screens. I'm going to have to double check on that. That would be super cool. Yes, sorry, Chris, no announcement on the stand yet. I'm still waiting on getting the prototype sent to me, and we're very close to getting the store listing up. I am going to get the prototype sent to me and then do a photo shoot, video shoot, do a little product overview of it. And I thought I might get the prototype delivered last week. Didn't happen. We're very close. And I'm also still hoping to be able to launch it in the UK and the EU. Hopefully at the same time. It might be a little bit longer before the EU and UK listings are up, though. Wow, that car just made a turn in the snow and slid a lot. People do not know how to deal with snow here. I'm just looking at the window of the street over there. Okay. Brand new ATEM Mini Pro, HDMI out to monitor, worked for 2 hours and then stopped. Tested cable and monitor, appears to be HDMI out. Anything, is there any settings on the monitor? Because I know some monitors still are unhappy with whatever the ATEM is doing on the HDMI output. But if it did work at one point, unless anything changed in the monitor, it shouldn't change. It shouldn't stop working. So you might need to talk to Blackmagic about that. But yeah, I do know that some monitors just don't work with it for some reason still, even after their firmware updates. Speaking of monitors, does the ATEM Mini work with the Feelworld 759? I'm gonna have to look at the model number of the one that I have, because I do have this. This is a 7-inch. This is a T7, and no, that's the one I have at the studio. The T7 is the little HDMI one. That one works great. Let me drop this link in, because this one, I like this one a lot. Where are we? Video. So, Feelworld T7 monitor. So there's that link. That one I like a lot. That one is HDMI only. Oh, that's the one that's on my table here too. So this one is the T7. It's HDMI in and out, so it has a pass through, and it is totally flat along the back. There's no like bumps, so that one works great. The other one that I have is the 703, which is also, it's got HDMI and SDI. And this one is, I'll drop a link to this one too, but this one has a minor issue, which is, let's see, Feelworld 703 HDMI SDI monitor. So this one was the one that I was using at home here, and then I ended up getting frustrated with it. If the HDMI is plugged in and the monitor's off, and then you turn the monitor on, it doesn't recognize the signal. But if the monitor's on, and then you plug in HDMI, then it recognizes it, which is super weird. I don't understand why. That one is annoying, and annoying to use with the ATEM, because you have to make sure you turn it on before you plug in the HDMI cord, and that's not how I want it to work. So I ended up moving that over to the studio, and it's connected to my SDI router now, so it's just an SDI monitor, and it's great for that. So now it shows whatever I want on it. But this T7 one has been great with the ATEM, and it does not have that same problem. So yeah, I don't know about the 759 model. Do you have a dummy battery solution for the ZV-1? I do. I don't have it here. It's up at the studio, but it is a dummy battery. I think it's like there's only one that is sold, so just search ZV-1 dummy battery and you'll find it. But my one complaint is that the ZV-1 does not have the little notch for the cord to hang out. So on the little battery flap, normally cameras will have the a little notch in order to let the cord for the battery run out, and this one, it does not. And what that means is that you have to, you basically have to let the battery, come on. I can't even get it. I don't know what's going on. It's stuck. Great. Okay. Well, I'll deal with that later. You have to, so I have this cage, and the cage gives it a little like 1/4 inch there, and then the battery flap can hang out with the cord, and then the tripod screws onto the cage instead of onto the top of the battery flap. So if you're going to use a dummy battery, you basically need this cage, because otherwise you can't put it on a tripod when it's plugged in, because the tripod screw is right on the battery flap. It's very annoying. They did so many good things with the ZV-1, and that's like the one thing they messed up. Okay, and where were we? Can we see behind the scenes of today's setup? I showed you a little bit already. Let me see if there's anything else I have to share about it. No, I think that was it. I don't think there's anything else here, really. If you have a specific question, go ahead and ask, and I'll see if I can share anything else about it. Have you tried Wi-Fi to Ethernet to the ATEM Mini Pro? I have. That's actually basically what I was doing yesterday. So these little things are great. So with this will connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot, either like a phone's hotspot or a building, and then provide Ethernet on the ports here. And then that plugs into the ATEM Mini. And then this becomes a little router, and you can turn a Wi-Fi into a wired connection. And it is surprisingly simple to set up. These things are really, really good. I'll just drop a link to those too, because I like them so much, but I've talked about those a ton. What is that one? The GL.iNet. Here we go. This is my favorite little travel router. So I'll drop that link in the chat. Yeah, it's great. And then it also has a USB port, and the USB port you can plug into a phone. So I was tethering off my phone's connection, but connecting it wired to my phone, just to reduce the number of wireless hops in that signal. Okay, lots of questions coming in the chat. Don't forget to talk about your setup today. Yeah, I will. I guess I'll do, what I'll do is at the end, towards the end, I'll do another little tour of the whole thing, because I think I may have talked about that early on when we had a lot fewer people here. What product do you have on your desktop with weather and number of YouTube subs? Oh, that's the little thing. Everybody has one of these. That's the little, what's it called? Oh my God, totally can't remember the name. Oh, this is hilarious. My motion sensor at the studio is going off when there's a super chat because it changes the light color. Thank you. I love that. Okay. LaMetric time. That's the name for it. And Zenfort, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it a lot. And sorry, my lights don't change colors in here, but they are doing that at the studio. In fact, I should just pull up my little camera, because and then I can show you that the lights are in fact changing at the studio still, even though I am not there. Where is it? Oh yeah. The whole room is green. Thanks for that. And then I can go and change it back to white. I have a internet on both sides, of course, and it's fiber on both sides, and I have the bidirectional VPN set up, so I can actually still control all of my studio lights, like the Stream Deck buttons that I have that control the lights. So I can turn on the desk light, or I can turn on the table hair light. I might even be able to turn on the ceiling lights from here as well, which is kind of fun. Sometimes they just don't work though. I'm still debugging them. Looks like they're not cooperating today, but yeah, pretty cool. And I can just turn those off as well. And now my phone is telling me that there's motion in the studio, of course. Okay. Oh my gosh. My computer's turning into a rocket ship. How would you rate the Rode NT USB Mini? Oh yeah, so I didn't really talk about my setup because I didn't tell you what mic I'm using. This is the Rode NT USB Mini, and it is actually, I think, pretty good. So you tell me how it sounds though. This is, where's my, there we go. So yeah, this is the mic that I'm using today. It is this little, there it is. And it's USB powered. So it actually is meant to be used to like plug into a computer where you are using it as a USB audio device on a computer. It's great for that, but it also has a headphone jack, and the headphone jack I'm actually running directly into the ATEM Mini here. So that ends up actually working out just fine. So I've got the audio delay in the ATEM to match it to the video, but yeah, I like it a lot. I do have to be pretty close to it, of course. So if I get farther back, I'm gonna be a lot quieter, whereas that's not the same for like the other kinds of microphones I normally use. But I think it sounds good, and I like that it's pretty small and USB powered, which is pretty nice. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Unclear about some software buttons. When are previous next transitions used? And background, that's for keys. Yeah, let me see if I can bring my software control onto the iPad screen to share with you. Oh, it's very small. When I show the when I have the sidecar, I always forget that word. When I have sidecar connected, the resolution of that monitor is actually very small on the 11-inch, and I can't like scale it. So everything is looks a little bit scrunched. The where's my mouse? Oh my gosh, too many screens. There it is. So the previous next transitions. So this next transition, it's kind of a weird name for it, but this is basically the upstream key. So I'm using the upstream key right now to show my face in the corner. So if I turn that off, I disappear, right? And you can't see it, but if I toggle that one on, this is a little bit weird. It takes a little bit to get used to, but basically when that's on, that makes it so that when you do the transition, like if I run this, oh, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, let me do that. Okay, so if I now do this, you can see it's doing the transition, and then it's removing that upstream key in that transition, and that's toggled. So when I transition back down, it's going to bring back the upstream key. Okay, with that toggled off, the upstream key actually stays on even with the transition. So that's what's going on with that one. But this is basically just, it's the upstream key. And then this button, I have never actually used it, I will say. It's making the preview button, or preview screen, show stuff. So if I take that off the air, oh, I can't now that that's on. Yeah, I've literally never used it. So if I click that, yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know what the button does. But the background button. So if I have the key on, it's very hard to describe without being able to show you the multi-view. And I might have to save this for when I am back at the studio and can actually show you a multi-view of the other ATEM, because right now I have to do it with the camera, and then it's going to get all messed up. It's weird. It's very weird. I will say that. The Blackmagic distributor here suddenly discounted the ATEM Mini Pro. Might be another ATEM Mini model. That is interesting. I wonder how much of that was them taking a risk, them wondering the same thing, and just sort of trying to get their stock out in case they launch one, or if they actually know more information than we do. That is curious. Now I need my ATEM control back on my main computer screen so I can actually use it easier. This is a good question. Do you think Blackmagic will ever announce something like an NDI support for the ATEM Mini? I do not think the Blackmagic will ever support NDI. The reason is it's because it's a protocol created by their competitor. And while it is technically not charged for, it is still 100% controlled by them. It's not open source. It's not an open protocol. It is royalty free, so you don't have to pay to use it, but you still have to agree to their terms when using it. And they don't actually make it available as a protocol. They make it available as an SDK, which is, I know, it's a confusing difference, but basically think of it like if they were to make it available as a protocol, it would be like providing a recipe for making a cake, where it's like, here's the ingredients you need, here's the order to do the instructions, and then you get a cake at the other end. Providing it as an SDK is more like giving you a box of cake mix, where you are then told to like add water, and then you can use it. So what that means is that if they make any changes, then they are going to have to ship you a new cake mix, right? Whereas if it was a protocol and they make any changes, they give you a new recipe, and then you can just go and add in the one new ingredient you need. But the problem is that basically it gives new tech too much control over the product line by shipping it that way. So I don't think we'll ever see it added to Blackmagic products because they wouldn't want to give up all of that control. Did you update your UPS batteries? I expanded mine to get to 3 separate to expand the lifetime in case of a power loss. No, I haven't upgraded them yet. I do have 2. So I have one for the network gear and I have one for the desk. And those end up lasting about 30 minutes right now. And the one at the desk, the power... Also, funny story. This snow has just been a disaster for everything. Thursday, literally a minute after I was done with the workshop, the power went out. It was like perfect timing, 100%. I was like, just hung up, just closed the call, and then boom, power went out. And I had only a couple of the pieces of gear on the UPS, so I didn't have the monitors, and I didn't have, turns out, one of the power supplies to the stack of Blackmagic converters. So nothing would have actually, like it, the Matrix was still on, the ATEM was still on, but I had no way to get any video into it. So if I had been live, it wouldn't really have helped at all. And like it would have kept streaming, it just would have been streaming a black screen to YouTube, or in my case, Zoom. And so I switched that over. I switched everything to be powered off of the UPS, including the monitors and the converters, and that dramatically reduced the battery life available for them, of course. So I'm down to about 30 minutes of being able to run the full stack of gear, including my internet and my desk, which is normally all you need because normally our power does not go out for hours at a time. But this winter weather has really done a number on things. And I'm thinking about now getting more batteries to help with that, to be able to just go for like a full hour or maybe 2. We'll see. The other thing I've been thinking about is like maybe I should just get a Tesla Powerwall for the entire building to be able to run for days. I still have a speed editor on back order. If they introduce a new ATEM this week, bets on when it can actually be purchased. I do feel like June is probably a bit soon, considering that everything is still in the middle of lockdown and we are not, that's not ending anytime soon. So who knows? I'm kind of hoping that it's actually a firmware update in the announcement because that is something they can ship now and everybody can use it. So we'll see. Okay, we're running up towards the end of the hour, but I'm going to keep answering a few questions, and I'll wrap up by showing you a whole behind the scenes of this setup at the end. Do you color calibrate your displays? I have not ever done that, ever at all. Everything is just factory default. At some point, I probably should, but nope. Any experience with the Lilliput 10.1 inch monitor with the ATEM? Yeah, that's the one that Carl's using in that case, and it is a very, very good monitor. I am a huge fan of it. I'm probably going to buy one because it's great. Great colors, very bright, and 100% works with the ATEM. So I love that one. Super chat. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Art Academy workshops. YOLO Live with 2 Canon HR800s, one on the instructor, one on the artwork, iPhone to Mira screen HDMI capture for wireless, few live students. So wait, how would you get because there's only 2 inputs in the YOLO Live, so you need more inputs if you're going to get those into the YOLO box. So that would actually be a good use of an ATEM Mini to be able to essentially use it as a HDMI, multiple ins to one HDMI out. So you could have your main camera directly into the YOLO box and then an ATEM Mini on the other input, then you can do 4 inputs in that way, and that would be fantastic. Yeah. The is that mirror screen? I haven't actually tried using the mirror screen devices as a for a camera feed yet. That's the one thing I would want to test first. I've used so my one use of NDI is actually to get my iPhone as a camera to my Apple TV, but you can use other apps for that as well. So Apple TVs do make really good iPhone wireless camera receivers. But I would want to double check that that works as well with the mirror screen devices, because those things are not super powerful devices, and it may not work well for an actual like camera feed. It works great for like a Chromecast because there's a lot less bandwidth for that video signal. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, I have the cage from Smallwood for the ZV-1. Yep, that works great. Rick says, was reading an article about live streaming that suggested future-proofing setups by moving exclusively to NDI. I know it's more expensive, but could you expand on how this is better? So I guess, I don't know why they would call it future-proofing, but the thing that NDI is good for compared to others is that it's essentially like it's like the very expensive SDI matrix that I got, but it's all in the network. So it means that you can take any NDI input and run it to any NDI output without connecting any wires. So assuming everything is in a network, then any source can appear anywhere, which is really great, and any number of times, right? So you can have one NDI source be pulled into multiple different NDI destinations. So it is very flexible because of that. It's not meant to go over the internet. It's meant to be used in a local network because it is very high bandwidth. I remember reading something like it's 70 megabits for a signal as like the lowest quality it will go. It's not meant to be used for internet streaming, but it is. It works great on like a gigabit network or better, and is very flexible. So you can have all your NDI cameras, and then you don't really have to worry about like running wires anymore, other than the one wire to get it into the network. And it does work over Wi-Fi, but again, it pushes the limits of Wi-Fi, so I don't recommend doing that over Wi-Fi. You'll probably see some lags in there if you do end up going over Wi-Fi. But when everything's wired, yeah, it's great. The thing I don't necessarily like about it is that right now the cameras that have NDI built in tend to be the ones that you would see in like office and installations. So auditoriums, like the PTZ cameras. And it's great for those because, it's one cable to power it and grab the video off of it over NDI. But those are not cinema cameras. Those are not the same kinds of cameras. And then that means you're going to need converters to get any other camera into that system. And that's where it just the cost goes up a lot. So you got to get HDMI to NDI converters, and that just adds like $300 to every camera. But yeah, for any sources that you do have that are NDI already, the more and more of those that start getting built in, maybe that's the theory there. I don't know. I'm just not super bullish on it, I guess. Does that mean we can change the color of lights in the studio at any time of the day or just during a live stream? It only reacts to super chat messages, and pretty sure you can only send me super chats if I'm live. I don't think there's a way to do it otherwise. Thank you for sharing your chat display. Can you use it with a Restream, chat room, or Facebook Live, or is it limited to only YouTube at the moment? Right now, it's YouTube only. I'm not going to add Facebook to it natively. I just don't use Facebook, and I don't care about Facebook. But I will probably end up adding Restream support, because then Restream supports Facebook and a bunch of others. So anything Restream could pull in, they would work with, and that makes sense to me. I wouldn't want to do the work of adding Facebook support directly to it. Um, Roland, thank you. Yes, I forgot to mention this. It is that article is very likely a paid article by NewTek. If not directly paid, it's probably that sounds to me like that kind of article that like someone's trying to just sort of be optimistic about that and give NewTek some love. Steve, so when you got your Blackmagic Hub, did you look at the Clean Switch 12 as an alternative? I did. I was thinking about it. Two reasons I did not go with it. One, I've heard rumors from people that that one ends up having issues sooner because it's, I guess, doing more work. But two, I started adding everything up in my studio, and 12 was not enough inputs and outputs. So I was like, I know I need more than 12, and I don't want to spend this much and then already hit the limit. So I ended up with the 20 instead. Okay. Oh, haha. You have a lot of low frequency noise in the road while typing. That is a good point. I did not do any filtering of that. Also, the microphone is on. Let's see if I can get next to it. The microphone is actually on the same desk that the computer is at, and this is not solid. It's like, here, I'll show you under the desk. It's just a piece of plywood, and there's a keyboard under there. And yeah, so it's on a springy board. So every time I type at my computer, you are hearing quite a lot of noise. But yeah, a high pass filter would be a good idea to solve that. Oh, what did you say the purpose of Sidecar was? Okay, let me talk about, since we're almost at the, we are past the hour. Let me do a quick studio tour and wrap up. So let me show you what is going on here, how I made this work. So back to shaky cam. This is not ergonomic. This is not an ergonomic situation at all, but here we go. So, okay, this is the ATEM, and it is on my stand, which is coming out soon. And then there's this monitor up here attached to the stand. And you can see there's the inputs there. So I've got one is my camera, which is right above the screen, which is showing me the chat. That's the Lumix, I think it's the GX9. It's very close to the GX85. It's basically the same camera. I've got my Aperture 120D up there. So that's peeking through. I've got this screen here so I can read the chat messages without looking away from the camera. That is being fed by a Chromecast. So again, just like at my studio, I have a Chromecast here. It's actually going into this because back there, there's the HDMI splitter lives back there. So that's a little bit cleaner. HDMI splitter feeds one copy into the ATEM. So you can see it there on input 3. And it feeds a second copy to that screen. So I can read it. And then let's see. So that's one camera. Yeah, second camera is this one that you're looking through right now. You can see it on the screen, kind of. It's the ZV-1. I've got the Hollyland 300, Mars 300 wireless on top. The receiver is back there, also attached to the stand. It's attached with a little cold shoe. Very short HDMI cable connecting it back there into input 2. 3 is the Chromecast. Input 4 is my iPad. So I have my iPad. I can't take that off the desk. So I have my iPad here. And the iPad is the thing that shows, for example, the countdown clock. So that's how I was doing the countdown at the beginning of the stream. But I can switch over to the Sidecar app. And now this is a monitor from my computer. So on my computer, I'm actually not really using my laptop display today, but I am using this one, which is my ultra wide, which is then far too wide to share into the ATEM itself. So instead of trying to mirror that screen into the ATEM, because it would be the wrong proportion, I have wirelessly connected my iPad as a monitor. So that's a Sidecar display. So I can take my ATEM software, drag it down to that monitor, and then drag it over to the iPad, because it's just a monitor attached to my computer. and that lets me share that window, for example, into the stream. Stream Deck. So this is where all of my macros to control the show are. You can see I had to set these all up right before the show, but I've got my pre-roll button, which is the title graphic, and it shows the countdown from the iPad. Show start, which turns, I forgot to make it not cut the audio immediately. I wanted the fade out of that song, but I forgot to do that again. Outro, which I'm going to press in a second. I remembered to make one this time, and that should bring the music up. I'll talk about the music in a second. I've got my show chat, hide chat buttons, which basically turn on and off the downstream key, which brings in the chat. Fade in music, which I'm going to use in a second for the outro. Fade out music, which I did not end up using. And I've got main camera, wide camera. I've got the map and picture-in-picture, which is the map comes in on the Chromecast iPad and picture-in-picture, which will cut to my iPad camera. Put my face in the corner. Those are all running macros on the ATEM. Again, ignore the device back there. And oh yeah, and lastly, the music. So music is coming off of this iPad, and I need to actually cue that up. So that's the song I want to end with. And I'm going to pause. And yeah, soon I will turn that music up, and then we will go ahead and wrap the stream up. But that's the tour of what I've got today. Yeah, the microphone's that Rode NT USB Mini. The microphone is plugged in USB power. One problem I had was depending on the power supply, I've ended up with some ground loops. So I found a USB power supply that did not have that problem. Otherwise, there was a loud buzz. So that was one little trick I had to do. And then I'm running out of cables at home. So it's a very short cable connecting that to the ATEM Mini, but it's going into mic 1. All right. And I see a super chat, which is going to be the last one. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Oh, I see John Barker is in the chat. Thanks for joining. On the other live, iPhone would cast to Mira, HDMI capture into USB input. Yeah, again, I would want to double check that it actually works with the Miracast, because it may not be powerful enough to do a reliable video feed. That's my one worry. But definitely test it out, because if so, that's a fantastic device. HDMI capture into USB input. No, the Miracast devices are not USB though. They are HDMI. So I don't think you can use the USB input for that, unfortunately. Okay. Last Q&A. Anything else I'm going to get to before we wrap up? Yeah, creating your own teleprompter. I've been working on it. I'm still looking for one that's gonna work well. I did speculate on the announcements, but again, make sure you subscribe here, because right after that show on Wednesday that they announced the new ATEM Mini stuff, I'm going to go live with Photo Joseph on both of our channels. So we'll talk about whatever they announce. Oh, Nathan tested feeding camera output from the iPhone to the mirror screen G10. Worked for my short test. That is good. That's very good. Is there any latency in the USB? Not really. It is, I use it with Zoom all the time. Totally fine. The Zoom delay is worse than the ATEM delay. Okay. We're going to go ahead and wrap that up. So I'm going to hopefully fade up the music and wrap up. Okay, yeah. So again, Wednesday, check out, subscribe here. The video is already posted. Hit reminder on that. And right after the Blackmagic announcement, I am going to be live talking about the announcement with Photo Joseph, and we will, we'll share our thoughts on whatever it is they're gonna share about the new ATEM stuff. So hopefully it's some exciting things. And yeah, thank you all for joining. I'm glad I was able to do this from home, even though I can't get to my studio today. It is still a mess of snow outside, and there's like literally a foot of snow outside the door to my studio. So I would have to even get a shovel to clear it out if I were to even be able to make it there, but the roads are too snowy to even try. So yeah, thanks all for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and see you all on Wednesday.